The ANC's top six will meet today following the conclusion of the party's decision-making body, which is the National Executive Committee special meeting yesterday in Pretoria. It was speculated that there could be a discussion about a cabinet deployment among other points of deliberation. Ace Magashule, the ANC SG, told the media that the road path to 2019 elections were among subjects on the table for discussion yesterday. That, of course, in addition to the new appointments on full-time positions at Luthuli House. Pule Mabe is the ANC's national spokesperson, and he joins us this morning to take this discussion further. Mabe, good morning to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Morning, and morning to the viewers of Morning Live.
Thank you so much indeed. Now, let's kick off with the people who are appointed to full-time positions at Luthuli House. And we see that Naledi Pandor is not on this list, and some people are saying that this could be a sign that maybe she might be appointed to be the DP of the country.
Well, you said what? Which one are we starting with? Are we starting with the ones appointed full-time? Mm-hmm. Or are we dealing with all the questions we've asked?
All the questions. It's up to you which one to go for.
Look, there has been a call coming out of the national conference to make sure that we reinforce the organizing machinery at Luthuli House, but including making sure that we bring in some of the cadres who are directly elected to be able to perform certain responsibilities on a full-time basis. The National Conference had resolved on the kind of responsibilities that require that kind of special attention. The National Executive Committee that met over this just yesterday, it was supposed to meet for 2 days, quite effective, we met for 1 day, had agreed that immediately you need to get organizing, because your organizing and campaigns are going to be quite important to do quite a number of things that you need to do to strengthen your structures on the ground. Brought in Comrade Senzo Mchunu as the chairperson of that committee, and Comrade Dagoda Lochwet as the deputy chair, and also brought in Comrade Zizi Kodwa as the head of the presidency responsible for monitoring and evaluation. Mm-hmm. So to better strengthen the head office, I'm sure you know by now, you have gotten used to the spokesperson as well. So it's also a full-time responsibility that gets to be performed in that way. So, of course, as time goes by, the National Executive Committee will determine how it could further strengthen these cadres to make sure that it can fulfill the realization of its own resolutions.
All right. And the Naledi Pandor question?
Well, I have said this before. The Secretary General of the ANC has said this as well, that matters of prerogative on who gets to be appointed as whether it's deputy president, whether it's in cabinet and all of that, those are really one which is exercised by the president. Of course, because the ANC is a strategic center of power, there is an engagement between officials on a number of things, because in whatever gets to be done, the unity of the ANC must always reign supreme, which is very important.
It is. So was it discussed the past weekend at the NEC meeting?
Once the National Executive Committee of the ANC finds itself discussing cabinet deployments and all of that, you can just imagine. Individual cadres will then start nominating themselves there. What will that do? It will create.
But how far is the process in Mabe? Are we likely to see the outcome of that particular issue today after the top six meeting?
No. I take it that the top six meet from time to time to attend to organizational matters.
This is their first meeting today.
What I can assure you of, they've always been meeting. What I can assure you of is that as soon as there is a decision, and one that requires to be communicated to the public, I'm sure the president of the country will be the first one to do so, because once he has appointed the deputy president or whatever restructuring that would have happened at that level, he will convey those to the public. I don't think that we should really be preemptive on what needs to happen. What we can be assured of is that in the shortest time possible, there must be a deputy president of the Republic of South Africa.
Yeah, I don't think we're being preemptive. It's just, trying to find out the facts from you.
Yes.
And in terms of the cabinet reshuffle, is that issue likely to be discussed by the top six?
Well, I'm sure that if the top six discusses any other issue that could be a matter of concern. If there is to be a reshuffle.
Is it on the agenda though?
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't sit in the top 6, so I will be shooting ahead of myself.
All right. And one of the things that the SG mentioned yesterday is that the ANC is already talking about the 2019 elections. What does the party say about these?
Well, what I can tell you is that while we already have a scheduled elections workshop that is coming up, we are readying our machinery to try and make sure that we master the 2/3 majority victory we need next year. We are now beginning to work on the kind of messages that we need to be driving forward for our elections. We'll have that elections workshop. The National Executive Committee is going to be taken through the research and all of that, and the kind of focus areas that the ANC need to be paying attention on. So we are going into these elections with a clear focus on the things that we need to. That's why, even on the VAT issue, for instance, one of the things that the ANC is beginning to bring forward strongly is that make sure that you try and expand the basket of zero-rated necessities. So that we are seen, because to be responding to the plight of our people in a more positive way.
And we've seen, of course, the DA's leader, Pule Mabe, has actually launched a campaign against this VAT. What's your response on that?
You'll understand that when a party like that one, which has got a poverty of ideas, what will always happen is to always rise at the back of what the ruling party is doing or saying. Having considered conditions in the country and the fact that we needed to do what you call fiscal consolidation to be able to address some of your unexpected expenditure items, one of the things that you might have had to do was to look at this way of hiking your VAT without necessarily putting a strain on the poorest of the poor, so that you could try and increase how much you have in your kitty to be able to fulfill your socio-economic transformation program. One, finance higher education, deal with issues of human settlement, build more houses that are needed to make sure that people have got roofs over their heads.
But what's the ANC's point on that? Because yesterday during the media briefing, this point came up and the ANC had said they will look into this issue.
Well, the ANC did say, through our Secretary General, we did advance a point that said there must be careful attention must also be paid on the possibility of expanding the zero rating of basic necessities. So it means that engagement with the team at Treasury and all of that, we'll have to look at that and make sure that there is a much more expressed cushion for the poorest of the poor in terms of how you roll out this VAT hike, so that it is not used by those who lack ideas as an electioneering tool. What our people should be appreciating is that working together with them, we are doing everything else possible to make sure that we can make this country even much better.
But overall, you support this VAT hike, is that what you're saying?
Well, overall, of course, even that support itself would have had a rider that consider expanding the products that are zero-rated.
Let's just quickly go back to the issue that you made mention of earlier on, that you're looking into this 2/3 majority after the general elections next year.
Yes.
And some people are of the view that if cabinet will not be reshuffled, if certain ministers are not taken out of this cabinet, they will still not vote for the ANC. Are you worried that should the cabinet reshuffle not happen anytime soon, you stand a risk of losing more voters next year?
Well, I think that we all need to accept that the performance of the ANC at the polls, in the bigger scheme of things, is largely driven by the kind of a program that it is able to discharge on the ground, and one that works to change the living conditions of our people. You see, in the ANC, regardless of which cadreship you deploy, what reigns supreme is our own program of action. The pointers that we raise in the manifesto, the national development plan, and the things that we say, if done, the living conditions of our people should change.
But those points have been there in your previous manifestos, and Pule, look at what happened during the local government elections. ANC lost many cities as well. And those points have always been there on your manifestos.
Yes, we must also accept that the strengthening of democracy in the country, I mean, just before I came in, Leanne was talking to a former colleague who is now also running her own political party. So we must also accept that with the strengthening of democracy, it meant that there were now plurality of views. Political parties that exist today would be far many than would have been the case in 1994. What we need to be doing is to make sure that we strengthen our contact with our voters, explain to the masses on the ground on what our program is to change their lives.
All right. So are you looking at bringing Dr. Makosi Khoza back to the ANC? Maybe are you having that discussion? Is it something that has come up?
Well, the ANC has never had a problem with returned soldiers. If cadres who have been part of the movement feel that their dreams are a little deferred where they are, they can always come back and make a contribution, because the only party that is going to deliver the people of South Africa to the promised land is the ANC.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Ndate Mabe, thank you so much for coming through.
No, thanks.
Thank you so much to Pule Mabe, ANC spokesperson, talking to us about a whole range of issues as well in relation to the NEC meeting that ended yesterday. It's